Stakeholders don't want a technical journey. They want the bottom line first. Let's give them the presentation they expect. This might seem backwards, but it really works. With presentations for stakeholders, start with the conclusion and provide details only if needed. The headline should come first. This is the big picture or the bottom line. Cover whether the project's on schedule or not, and any important decisions first. Make this quick, definitely under a minute. Then you can get into the context, like why it matters, the risks or benefits, and any possible consequences that are involved. Try to cover this in less than 2 minutes. After that, give them the options that are on the table and tell them what you think should happen. Try to keep this part under 2 minutes too. One's even better. You always want to be prepared to give information about technical details, but you only really need to answer the specific questions people ask when you open Q&A at the end of your presentation. This is called the inverted pyramid approach. Get everything out there in less than 5 minutes, then open the floor to questions. Most developers start with the details and wait until the end to let the stakeholders know why they're really there. But stakeholders are decision makers, not students. When they get the conclusion first, they can decide whether to dig deeper or just take your recommendation. It's really common for a developer to have a 10-minute slot with the executive board and start off with something like this. 3 minutes in, they're explaining REST endpoint methodology. 5 minutes, they're covering capacity planning. Everybody's looking at the door at this point. Starting with technical details instead of business impact loses people fast, and using language like as you see in the diagram makes it even worse. By the time you get to we're on schedule and coming in under budget, everybody's checking their phone. Here's the same update, structured with the inverted pyramid, quick and focused on the big picture. The headline gives everybody the main idea. Everybody knows why this meeting's happening in the first 15 seconds. Then we can get into a little more detail. Not much, just the main points. Now they understand what's been accomplished and why it matters. After that, it's a good time to give some information about the value of what we're doing. This is an overview of the technical work, but framed as business benefits. We aren't given technical details, just what they actually care about. Finish up by going over the next steps or recommendations about how to move forward. Then ask if anybody has any questions. You want to be prepared to answer questions about the technical details in the Q&A, but you only need to answer the technical questions people ask about. So what changed between these two approaches? We started with conclusions, so there's never any mystery about the project status. We use business language instead of technical details. Saying 40% performance improvement presents the technical information in a way that stakeholders understand its effects on their business. And we have the details ready for Q&A in our back pocket, but we aren't starting with them. The technical work isn't hidden. It's transformed into words that a non-technical person can understand. If somebody asks about microservices architecture, you need to have the answers ready, but start with what they need to understand the big picture and make important decisions. Let's look at an example. We need $35,000 to implement automated security that wasn't in the original scope of the project, and it's required for compliance. So we're going to start with the big picture. The ask is clear immediately. The amount's $35,000. The reason we need it is for security. And the consequences, They're all clear from the start. The legacy deployment doesn't meet current compliance standards. Explains exactly what's happening without blaming anybody. It's just the facts about the changes, not who failed to include it in the original plan. Then we're going to lay out our two options to move forward. Both options are presented clearly with their trade offs. We'll end with the next steps by giving them a specific deadline, which option we think is the best way forward, and a specific amount of money that we need. Then we can open up the Q&A. We don't want to start with the technical details. Use technical language without putting it into context or start with too much information. What we do want to do is make sure we end with a clear ask or a conclusion. These are some really useful phrases to use in your presentation that signal professionalism and respect for stakeholder time. Since we aren't starting with the technical details, we need to be prepared to answer questions about them in the Q&A at the end. Sometimes these can be tough. It's okay to say I don't know, I'll get back with you. Nobody knows everything, and nobody's expected to. Do make sure you actually find the answer and report back, though. Sometimes we have to redirect really technical questions until after the meeting if it's something that only one or two people in the audience might understand. This keeps the meeting on track and doesn't lose the rest of the audience. It's really important to take ownership of issues without becoming defensive or blaming other people, too. And a really good way to buy time to think is to ask the person to clarify their question. Questions aren't attacks, they're opportunities to demonstrate expertise and build trust. Take a minute and look at this scenario and prepare an inverted pyramid style presentation for your stakeholders. Pause the video while you think about this. This headline's direct, the context uses understandable language, and the recommendation's really clear. This is a really effective way to organize a presentation. There's going to be plenty of time left for Q&A, and everybody's going to leave with all the information they need. When stakeholders understand your message clearly, they make better decisions. And when they make better decisions based on your presentations, you become the developer they turn to when it matters the most. In the next video, we'll look at a method we can use to present any workplace situation to any audience. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.